a very, very, very long live stream. So I'm over here on a YouTube and Twitch at the same time. If you find that video quality is not the greatest, you can check out if you're on YouTube and then vice versa. I am streaming from Streamlabs to Twitch and then just through the regular YouTube streaming service for streaming to you guys from. As always, make sure to subscribe if you're not already. It is absolutely free to do so, especially when I help out my small little channel. And as always, smash the like button because that is also free and just a kind thing to do. All right, it's going to be a long day because I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here chilling out, drinking my iced coffee, doing my work, and we're just here to chat. Yes, the thumbnail is GameStop because, yes, I'm still waiting for the moon. But we're feel free to talk about anything, not just GameStop, because clearly it's Saturday, Sunday, and there's not going to be much GameStop. Well, not until Sunday night. So bear with me as we make it through the weekends, which are very tough. See, I am 100% for a 24-hour, 7 days a week type of market. Although Robinhood claims that they have 24-hour trading, it's not exactly 24 hours because obviously you can't trade on the weekend. So I'm definitely for that. I know what you think about that. But on days where I'm red and just bleeding, I guess I do understand why people need a break. And I love it. I love it. I don't think you need to stop trading. You got to control yourself to not trade every second, every minute. And that is still something that I am working towards. Okay. And as we're doing the stream right now, I guess I want to share a couple things with you guys. Those of you guys that are new to trading or just getting started. Couple things, I guess, that I wish I knew sooner. Or I guess I knew, but I just didn't pay as much attention to as well. One thing I want to point out today before I forget it is you just got to have a lot of cash balance. And you just have to remember the importance of having cash on hand above anything else. Like, as much as it's important to be able to know to buy low and sell high instead of buying high and selling low, as important as it is to have stop losses, as important as it is to understand the fallacy of like your sunken cost fallacy, not holding on, and hanging on to something and then developing emotions towards it when it's like literally draining you money. All those things are important, but I think the greatest thing, the most important thing that really screws me over, at least when I forget about it, is just the importance of always having cash in life. The whole concept of saving money for a rainy day. It's really weird because I feel like I live by that. Like, that's my life motto. Yet I do that in real life. Like, I'll always have some cash set away on the side that's not in my trading portfolio. But the minute the money hits my trading portfolio from the hard-earned money that I make in life, it goes into my trading portfolio, whether it's in Webull or MOOMOO or Robinhood. By the way, if you also check out Robinhood, use my link at the top of the screen. And all my different platforms that I use for trading, you can see down in the description below. And if you want to use a link and get some fractional shares yourself and help me out on the way, I really appreciate that. So anyways, doesn't matter what portfolio I'm trading in, but I realize that psychologically it's really weird. Like, I become like a different person once the money leaves my regular bank account, okay, my checkings account, and it gets into my Robinhood or it gets into my Webull, or it gets into my MOOMOO. I become this crazy spender, and I stop saving money for a rainy day when it's actually 10 times, I would say, more important to save per se for a rainy day than anything else when you're in your trading portfolio. Because you hear people saying like myths like, oh, okay, you need like millions of dollars to be able to trade. You need like hundreds of thousands. Oh, you need so much more money. You need 50,000. You need 30,000 extra money laying around to start trading. And it's crazy because I still talk to people to this day, whether they're in their 20s or 30s or 40s or 50s. And there's tons of people out there that have this misconception of like, oh my God, I need to be super rich to be able to trade. No, you don't. No, you don't. I started trading back in, well, I started trading way before 2019, but I just got more serious in 2019. And in 2019, I put into my portfolio in Robinhood $7,000. I'm like, yeah, one can argue that's still more than like $1,000, but that's not as much as like some people starting their portfolios with $100,000 or with their parents' money, and I gave them like $500,000 or whatever. Okay, so I started with my own money. Okay, while I was working a 9 to 5, so the money that I saved in my bank, I moved about $7,000 into my Robinhood account, and I grew my account literally from that point on. Granted, I got very lucky because then we had the pandemic and I just bought the right things, but So it grew from 7,000 to about 20,000, and then from 20,000 to $100,000, pull back down because I messed up, back down to about $50,000, and then I just kept growing it, and now I'm a little under $1 million of a portfolio right now, so I'm still working my way towards $1 million. So wish me luck. Smash the like button if you're also working your way towards that. But anyways, so it's not easy, but you can get started with any amount. And I feel like the greatest myth for people of all ages is that they think they have to be super rich before they start trading. And I think that's what sets people back, and that's what stops a lot of people from trading. I also find that a lot of girls are more reluctant to trade than guys that I know, whether it's in crypto or in stocks. And I feel like that might also have something to do with the fact that every time I turn on YouTube and I search for stocks and I search for crypto and any finance YouTubers of any sort, almost all of them, I would say more than 99% are all men. Like there's like literally only one female trader that I watch, and that's Shay, the humble trader. You can search her up on YouTube. She's absolutely amazing. I don't think she knows who the heck I am, but she's awesome. And that gives me hope. Like, you know, girls could be like amazing traders, and she trades better than most of the other guys that I watch. And there's a lot of YouTubers that I watch out there, no offense, but they're talking about their amazing trades, but there's nothing to show for, right? Like there's no proof of them transacting really proper trade or multiple proper trades or showing their portfolio, what's in it, what's their P&L. Like you don't get to see that. And then it's just a lot of talk. So I like it when you can see. And I've shown my fair share of my trades over social media, whether it's on YouTube or live or through Patreon, paid subscriptions and whatnot. So I'm not saying you can trust me, but yeah, whatever I show you is my actual trades. I don't Photoshop any trades if I do decide to show you that. With that being said, anyways, GameStop, I'm realizing after watching like a gazillion videos is that it's really funny right now. We have like a group of people that are super into it and is like, we're still going to get that like squeeze or we're just going to get that pop. And then there's a group of people that's like, nah, it's done. It's done. And I feel like majority of that side of people is also like this, like your media, your basic like CNBC, Bloomberg, like all the talking heads that go on to those shows end up saying things like, oh, okay, well, it's done. Like, that was a fun ride, but momentum's over. Like, he's not even tweeting anymore. He messed up on those options. Do I feel like Keith Gill should have sold? And we talked about this. Like, yes, if I were him, I would have done it. And I think, like, a lot of people are just, like, don't understand why he did what he did because everybody knows that it makes more sense to sell with 900 million, and he had about $900 million and he sold those call options at the very top and also sold those 5 million shares at the very top, and he could have just like bought back now with GameStop Friday ending at 23.83, right? Like that's kind of sad. So yeah, that definitely sucks, and I think like nobody really gets it. But I feel like the thing about Roaring Kitty is nobody really understands what he's doing, right? And if you understood, then you'd be him, and you also be sitting on $200 million. So I feel like there's that factor of like mystery, but that also garners hope. And there's also the factor of mystery, which is just embedded into GameStop of like all these years. Like Ryan Cohen's been in it since 2020 before he even joined the board. And then he joined the board and then he became chair and then he became CEO. And then still, we don't really have any kind of stock fundamental, like changing views on GameStop due to anything with GameStop that they did, right? Like, because right now there's nothing that GameStop did. Like, they tried the whole NFT thing and they didn't really do well. So right now there's really no major highlights from the company that can make the stock just go 10x or for people to believe in it like they do Nvidia still to this day, right? Not saying it's ever going to become the next Nvidia, but who knows? Right now, there's lots of talk that it could become the next Berkshire Hathaway, right? It could become this holding company. It could become this company that invests in Bitcoin and then all of a sudden invest in failing companies. I hope it's AMC, but a lot of people are saying that that's ridiculous because AMC is losing money left and right. They could do stock buybacks. I think there's so many things that GameStop can do. We don't know about it yet, so there's that factor of mystery, which I kind of find beautiful. And that's where the hope comes in. I mean, but hopium is empty, so you don't know. You're definitely risking a lot of money on just purely hope. And I've done the whole entire hope thing with crypto. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. So definitely, as always, play with money you can afford to lose, guys. I think it's very crazy. And again, never financial advice on my channel, entertainment purposes only. You do what you want with your money, but I would just think it's wild to be taking out a loan to buy GameStop or to be betting your rent money on it, selling everything in your portfolio just to buy GameStop. like 100% GameStop, I feel like that's a little wild. It's not for everybody. Not saying that I'm not doing it. But it's aggressive. It's very aggressive. And then you're going to have to just deal with the consequences, right? Because GameStop could very likely go to $10 or much lower than that, because we've seen also the power of the short sellers, right? They're ruthless as well. It's like, if you want to think about, there's like two sides. There's the short sellers and the people that don't believe in GameStop. And then there's people that hope for GameStop that it's going to be transformative. It's going to become the next Berkshire Hathaway, or maybe it's just going to stay as a GameStop company that's more revolutionized in tech. Whether you believe in the left side or the right side, whatever it may be, whichever part of the spectrum, you got to know that that means volatility, because there's so many different folks on one side and the other that you could either have fun through the volatility of it, which I personally think like that's the fun part for me. Like I'm excited for GameStop no matter which way it goes. Like obviously I'm more hoping that it goes up to the moon, right? Because I have shares and I'm not sure selling it. However, even though you are on either side of the spectrum, you can still make money off this volatility. And I think that's where the real money may be at, right? Because I've been speculating that Roaring Kitty, like through the time that he doesn't actually show his portfolio, he could be selling like mad cover call options and making like hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions, right? Through like it's already been over a month. He started tweeting in like what, May? It's like almost July now. So this is like almost, we're running at almost 2 months of just wild nonstop like GME volatility. Like of course right now things have kind of died down a little bit, just a little bit, but don't forget, he's stopped tweeting before, right? He stopped tweeting before for like 2 weeks, and he can come back and bring back all this volume and all this volatility. I don't think we can rely on Roaring Kitty forever for like volatility. That wouldn't be realistic. But anyways, another topic I want to talk about is Tesla. So there's all these numbers. Obviously, like Kathy Wood really believes in Tesla, and I think on her not so bullish estimate, I think it's like 10x that she's hoping for Tesla, or basically, yeah, that's I don't know. I think it's actually higher. It's much higher than 10x for her real numbers, right? I don't know if it's like 15x or even higher than that. I think the number is like 2,300 by the year. I want to say 2029, but maybe she gave it an earlier time frame. You could just search that up yourself. But anyways, Kathy Wood, as always, has been very, very bullish on Tesla. So no surprise there. But it's just 10x though. Like she thinks on a low point that like Tesla's going to get 10x. And I don't want to laugh at it. And I do believe in Tesla, obviously. And I would buy if it drops to like 169 or whatever. But it's also a dangerous play right now, because I feel like Tesla is in a funny position where it's not exactly as volatile as GameStop, where we're like, oh my God, Tesla's going to go down to like $90. No, I feel like the support level is way too strong for Tesla to easily go down to $90 as easily as like GameStop could just slice and dice 50-60% by like next week, right? I think that's more realistic. But either way, for Tesla, there's a couple of things that I am a little bit worried about, I feel like. Yeah, so basically for Tesla right now, I think, at least for me, like I believe it more for the future worth of it, in terms of like their AI technology, in terms of one of my friends believes that like they'll actually do better if they don't just sell their own cars and actually sell the data they collected from their software into for other cars, right? Like right now, for example, like yesterday I was watching the news and I saw that Ferrari is creating some type of like EV. I think they're doing like a whole entire EV building, but then they're standing it for like E for environment, E for energy, and obviously like electric vehicles and whatnot. But whatever. So basically, Ferrari is gonna, by Q4 next year in 2025, they're gonna come up with their first ever 100% full electric cars, so full EV cars. And they were asked in the interview. I found this part pretty surprising, but I guess not too much either. That their best selling cars out of like, they were asked by the interviewer where their best selling cars would be, and right now they're actually selling, like in terms of just pure ICE or hybrids, they're actually doing like more 60% on hybrids, so better off on hybrids. And I feel like, at least if you're driving in California, you see a lot of hybrids. Who knows, maybe hybrids would be the future, but I think there's just so much unknown that for me right now, I think Tesla will always do well, because Tesla's kind of like pumping those cars out that aren't like Ferrari, which the interviewer was trying to ask him, like the CEO, like just how much those cars would be. She's like, we've heard that it might be like $500,000 range per car for their future like 100% EV cars. But then the guy was like, nah, we don't really tell you until like basically like a month or two before the release. So we're definitely not going to hear the price, the actual price for those full 100% electric vehicles from Ferrari until like probably next year, closer to Q3, Q4, right, or right before they release it. But I think it'd be funny though, because he said in the interview, the Ferrari guy, he was like, yeah, we're not so much about the quantity, we're more about the quality. But then in my head, I'm like laughing. I'm like, yeah, of course you'd be about quality. If you're gonna keep selling for like, let's say $500,000 or like $1 million a car, that's like how many times more than a Tesla Model 3 after all the EV credits and whatnot, right? Because like right now you can get a Tesla Model X after all the EV credits for just under $40,000, right? Like around 35 to like $40,000 to walk out the door with like a Tesla Model X or whatnot. Um, so if that's the case, and they're selling a car for let's say even $300,000, right? Like that's 10x. So Tesla would have to sell like 10 Model X's in order to catch up with like their one Ferrari. So yeah, one can say it's quality versus quantity for them, but also they know how much they're pricing their quality cars for. Um, I'm excited to see what happens. Honestly, like I've never driven a Ferrari. I hope to one day. I do think their cars are obviously beautiful and exciting, and if it wasn't so beautifully crafted, then they wouldn't be where they're at today, and people still obviously in demand. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But I also was reading the comments through that, and apparently like people were saying that 10 years ago Ferrari was like, no, we're never gonna do like full electric vehicles. So it shows how time changes. And not that I'm saying I think like just because everyone says one thing and then they do another, that necessarily just means Tesla is gonna ever come out with gas guzzlers. But what if they do? Has anyone ever considered what if Tesla, the face of electric vehicles, right? The one I would argue that put electric vehicles on the map. Let's just be open minded here. What if all these companies that came out originally stated that they were just going to do gas guzzlers, right, or hybrids, and then now they're going back on their word and they're doing electric vehicles? What if Tesla one day sees the value, or all those electric grids don't actually end up working out one day? And what if Tesla ends up competing with the rest of the market and also making hybrid? I don't think they're going to make like ICE, but maybe they're going to start creating some type of a hybrid form. I don't know. That would be insane. I think if they made this just decision to do that, even if it's like a small portion of their inventory, like they started to create some of those, I think it would actually be really positive for the stock, right? Because then you're just like literally competing with every other company. But at the end of the day, I also feel like I believe in Tesla for Elon Musk. I believe in Tesla for their innovation, their data collection, for the fact that they're going to have robots in the future that I wouldn't mind buying, having one in my house, doing my laundry, picking up the trash, taking out the trash, all that good stuff that you don't want to do, right? Like I see that as a future, and I would trust the Tesla company to deal with it more than I would an Amazon or an Apple. Okay, that's just where I stand personally. Let me know what you think. Which company you would rather prefer if you were to buy a robot for say $30,000, $50,000 at home. So just kind of do your basic chores that you don't want to do. I think personally, I would go for Tesla just based off of all the data that they've collected. But then again, if they end up selling that data off to like Amazon or Google's of the world, then who knows how that would play out. But I think that would also be really, really good for the finances, right? For me, I just find it interesting. Like as much as I am for Cybertruck and I really like a Cybertruck, recently I saw this video surface about Cybertrucks, about this guy who recorded how much it costs to actually charge a Cybertruck from like 0 to like 100 or close to 100, because batteries don't technically go exactly 100 and it just deteriorates over time. But for him, like to charge, it takes like an hour for a Cybertruck and it costs like about $80 USD. And it took like, yeah, 1 hour. So people, and it only drives you like 200, less than 280 miles, I believe. So under 300 miles, let's just say maximum 300 miles. That is kind of bad in my opinion in comparison to the fact that like in California, like where you have to go long range most of the time, especially if you're driving to Vegas, you're driving back and forth from work, if you're far from work and whatnot, stuck on the highway, you don't want to be in a situation where you just don't have enough mileage. So anyways, take me for like example. So I drive a Prius and my Prius goes like 420 miles, easy. And I only pay $45 a week in gas. And obviously, you know, when I pump my gas, it's like less than 5 minutes and I'm done. So I feel like we need Tesla to upgrade itself in terms of their battery, making it quicker to charge, making the mileage longer. So those batteries would be like the car would just have to do a longer mile range one day, hopefully to like easy 500 miles. So therefore beating the average like Prius out there or Toyota. and at the same time making it quicker to charge. So I don't understand technology enough to know how long that could take, if that's even possible down the line. But I think that's the moment when EVs will fully take over. Because right now, a lot of people just with gas guzzlers are going to refuse to like convert to a Tesla if they're thinking about money. And like, let's be real here. In this economy, yeah, we're close to like 2% inflation, but we're still in a pretty bad economy with like high inflation compared to 2020. And a lot of my friends and people that I know are constantly feeling broke or living paycheck to paycheck, whether they're making $100,000 or $300,000 a year. So it's still really rough out there. And I feel like once their cost basis goes down and there's higher mileage, more range, that will be much better for the Tesla company. With that being said, I'm still excited. I'm watching it. And shall we drop to new lows, new 52-week lows, anywhere close to that $120 range or even $150, I'd definitely be happy to buy some Tesla call options or just buy some Tesla shares in order to swing trade. So that's just kind of like how I plan on living my life, but not financial advice. Hi there, William. Welcome. Crypto Banger. Welcome. Six Lens. Goofball. Oh, okay. So yeah, for those of you guys that are saying the signal sucks for YouTube, the live streams, I'm just on Wi-Fi. But again, guys, just look down in the description below. Here, I'll make your lives easier and I'll post my Twitch stream. My Twitch stream is very smooth. So for those of you guys that just want to look on Twitch, I'm really looking at the chat over here, but I'll check in on the Twitch one as well. You can just listen to this over here on Twitch, folks. Six Lens says there is a big difference to rough. 100,000 is different from being broke making $25,000. Wait, what are we talking about? Like in terms of life, having $100,000 or $25,000? What is that saying? Was it Charlie Munger or Warren Buffett? Where they said the first million is a B. I'm not gonna say that. But that word, you know what I mean? Yes, there is a difference in $25,000 and $100,000, but you got to start somewhere. And for me, it's like I was never aiming for a million. Now I'm aiming for $1 million again in my trading portfolio, but I was never really aiming for a million. And I feel like it's not about where other people are or like relative to other people's trading accounts. I know I'm guilty of that too. I'm not gonna lie. I look at tons of traders with massive portfolios, $12 million here, $50 million there, easily buying options that I could never afford, like 1,000 call option contracts, like what? Or like Roaring Kitty. It is hard to like take a look at yourself and your own portfolio and be like, damn, like I just don't have that much money, man. But you got to start somewhere, right? And I do understand that I am lucky to have now traded after a couple of years and have a much larger portfolio than the average person in America as well. But at the same time, I still feel that like comparison. And I think at the end of the day, you just have to look at where you started, not where somebody else is. And if you started with $2,000, and I think it's a beautiful thing if you can make your portfolio into a $10,000 portfolio, even because that's a 5x, right? Or if you started with $5,000 and now you're at $50,000, 10x. I really just honestly look back at that. Like it's hard, but I think we all have to remind ourselves, like, this is where I was. Like I started from the bottom, now I'm here. Like literally, that's you have to look at your life that way. And I think that goes for fitness, relationships as well in life, family matters. Like a lot of us aren't dealt with the greatest hand of cards, I think, in life. At least I know I wasn't. And you just gotta like do your best with it. Not everybody is gonna come out like exactly in 1 year of trying or 2 years of trying or 10 years of trying on the winning end. But I think there's so many things that may not be right for you in life just because honestly you were dealt a bad hand of cards, and then you do your best with it. Sometimes you try and you fail, maybe you get into worse trouble. I know I've hit that point in life as well, but then you just don't give up and you keep trying. And I do personally believe that if you keep trying, you do good. I believe in karma. I think life will eventually get you to the point that you want to be at, mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever. All right, give me a second, guys. I'm gonna. Oh, hi there, Matt. Welcome to the stream, Iron, Mandrew, bye, Jasmine. LOL. I already have Jasmine. We'll check the prices of Jasmine in a second. Give me 1 sec. Gotta check in on something. Okay, I'm gonna mute you guys for a second. 1 second. Okay, 1 second. Very sorry. I'm back. I'm back. Matt says, shouldn't be making $25,000 a year if you don't want to. There is many trade certification you can get for nearly free. William says, I still recommend hard crypto wallets, especially when over 100,000 USD. Yeah, I mean, I'm not the greatest example because I've had way more than $100,000 in Binance at one point, but that's out of it. I had more than $100,000 in Gemini back in the day. I don't even use Gemini anymore. And then what else? FTX, LOL. That would have been bad. I still use Coinbase. I feel like out of all the hot wallets per se, I only really use, well, Robinhood is just for swing trading, so I don't even care, right? Like I have to keep it in Robinhood if I want to swing trade crypto. It's just what it is, or else I'll put it in my wallet like every 2 days. Whenever I want to sell, I have to move it back. That's super annoying. No, thank you. But again, that's not financial advice because I know I'm still being risky because none of your crypto on any of these hot wallets, whether you put it on Robinhood or really anywhere, right? Or if you're in like Canada, Wealthsimple or whatever, it's you're not protected, right? Like if you lose your money, if like the company goes bankrupt or whatever, or they get hacked and they lose all their crypto, it's just done. So I do understand my risks. Luckily, besides FTX, that was a close one. I've been okay. But when it was crypto winter, though, I pretty much took off everything off the table and I just put it into cold wallets. So I definitely think that if you're in crypto for the long run, like you're not even looking at the charts and you just plan on sitting on this thing for like I don't know, the next 30, 40 years. If you're that young, um, then I think like it doesn't really matter, right? Then you might as well just put it into your hard wallet. Anyways, we'll be yeah, let me know in the comment section or like if you're late to the stream, yeah, comment section down below after you smash the like button. What kind of shows you guys recommend on Netflix right now? Because on my downtime, I'll watch a lot of shows or like when I'm also doing like which I'm gonna do now, when I'm doing my listings and whatnot. I'm also just like watching shows. I try not to watch like K dramas when I'm doing my listings because I have to like focus on the subtitles and whatnot or any other shows in other languages. So I usually have to listen to English. However, um, I do wanna know what you guys are watching, and I'll tell you what is a couple of shows that I recommend. I really just watch Netflix and like Disney Plus. So Disney Plus, I've already recommended it. If you are young and you've never watched, or maybe you're older but you've just missed this movie, Fifth Element, Bruce Willis, watch it. Disney Plus, so good. That's my one of my recent ones. In terms of like rom coms, if you're interested in rom coms, um, Anyone But You with Sydney Sweeney, and then that dude, which I forgot his name, but he's always playing like the model looking guy. So that guy is actually in a movie that I just watched last night on Netflix. That's called Hitman. And props to Netflix because they did such a good job on that ad that like when I saw an ad like in LA, it's on a bench, you know, when people do advertising for like car accidents and like insurance and whatnot. So I saw like or real estate agents. I saw a bench with like his face on it, and it's like, need a hitman, like call this number, or did someone do you wrong? And I like it made me look because I was like, is this real? And then I realized that that's the actor's face. I'm like, okay, obviously it's a movie. But that movie, so I just watched it last night, Hitman on Netflix, and it was surprisingly not what I thought it was going to be. And it is based on a real person. Based on a real person, obviously, like Netflix is going to twist it around, but it's based on a real person, and it's actually really, really good. I thought it was interesting because I couldn't guess the ending. Manju, personally, I like to think I'm perfect. Did I ask if you think you're perfect? But yes, I'm sure you are. Is that what everybody tells you? Is that what your family tells you? I feel like usually family members are very good at telling their kids, like, or their siblings, like, you're perfect. My parents didn't tell me that though. They told me I was far from perfect. But here I am, still trying to prove I can't be perfect. Just kidding. Um, Juvenile Justice, Extraordinary Attorney. Oh, I've always seen Extraordinary Attorney Woo pop up like on my like For You type of thing on Netflix because probably because they know that I watch a lot of like dramas. But and The Girl from Nowhere because I didn't watch any of those. But I might watch the Attorney Woo thing if I like end up watching more of the K dramas that I still on my list that other people like recommended me. But in terms of K dramas, for those of you guys that are interested in K dramas, please watch Queen of Tears. It's so good. And even if you don't like K dramas, as long as you're down to like, I don't know, read the subtitles and whatnot, I think it's really good. And it made me cry so many times. And the thing about it that I like, oh god, I should make like a whole like other video for this, but I'll just tell you guys right now. I hate that our society kind of only parades around like relationships from the beginning to getting together. Do you realize that? Like all the rom coms, all of the movies, all of the TV shows, it's like the most exciting thing is when two characters, it's always the same story. Like either they just met or they don't like each other or they're fighting and eventually they fall in love. It's always the same story. And then they don't really talk about what happens afterwards. It's like, okay, once you are in an actual relationship for like 7 years, now those movies always begin with like that breakup movie with Jennifer Aniston. It starts off with like the breakup, right? And then you just like, oh, those are all the movies. They never talk about what happens when you're married, what happens when you're in a long-term relationship, and how your relationship can develop and actually bloom even after you've already been with the person for a very long time. And so I think Queen of Tears, K-drama, does a really good job by featuring like a couple that's like married, and I'm not going to spoil it for you, but it features a relationship where they're already married, and that's the beginning of the show, and it shows you like all this drama that can go on, and they can romanticize a relationship that has technically been around for a long time. And I think that's what's wrong with our society. Like, why do you think there's so many divorces? Why do you think like so many relationships don't work out? I feel like it's because our society literally parades around and only celebrates the beginning of a relationship. The like the freshness of it, right? And like the youth of it. They never celebrate something that's been around. It's like every time I go to like stand-up comedy, you hear when people like when the comedian asks like, oh, let me know like who in here is in a relationship, and then it's like silence, right? Like, or not many hands go up, and then the comedian will be like, okay, well, who in here is single? And then you'll hear all like the woo and the screams and the whatnot, and then it's just so sad because you look at it and you're like, why are the people in a relationship like either ashamed or not that excited, no energy, low energy, and then the people that are single are all like ready to get it, super excited. And that's a problem, my friends. I think that's a serious problem that we have to deal with in society, or else those divorce rates from ever since I like grew up, I remember hearing like everyone talking about 50% divorce rate, 50% divorce rate. And to be honest, I feel like that's probably just gone higher. If this is the future that we keep moving towards, like through Hollywood and in the media and just like how people act, we're definitely going to move towards a society. Like, I'm pretty sure my great grandchildren in the future are going to be like, yeah, divorces are so common. Like, you might as well not get married because divorce rates are probably 80% at that point. Because things like that will just grow exponentially, right? It's like brainwashing at one point. Like, anyways, that's my 2 cents on it. I feel like people need to appreciate what they have and actually start celebrating what they have beyond just like what's new, what's fresh. And like, only looking to, like, don't get me wrong, I love those dramas where you're like, just meeting, falling in love, the high school dramas, whatever. Like, who doesn't like that? But at the same time, I think we need more shows geared towards like, okay, they've been together for like 3 years. They didn't get married, or like, why? And then will they fall in love again? Or like issues that could come into their relationship, and yet they still make it through. Like, we need more of those shows. And I think Queen of Tears just does an amazing job because it's actually very entertaining. I mean, granted, there's a lot more to it than just like they've been together and like that you see them fall in love. There's so much more to that. Henry, welcome. Six One says anime kaiju number 8. Okay, I don't think I've heard of that one. Orange is the New Black. Oh, I've always heard of Orange is the New Black, but I never watched it. Maybe one day. Oh, okay. Awesome. Matt says I should cancel Netflix. I can't remember watching something good in a minute. No. Watch a K-drama. Henry says I finished Three Body Problem. Pretty good. Can't wait for season 2 and 3. Right? Same thing. I have the books. Well, actually, I'm missing one more book, but this is one book. See, symbol. There's another one, and then there's a third one in here. Mayoso gave me these because he already read them. There's a third book too. I think he's reading that. But anyway, I have yet to start my reading on it because it's so long. I'm really slow at reading. It's actually one of my most insecure things, where I like to learn, but more like conversationally and like through podcasts and audio. I don't love to read, and I'm so guilty for it because I want to be a bookworm. I want to be one of those people that can be like, I finished 2 books in like a day, but I've just never been. Like, I don't think if my life depended on it, I don't know if I could finish this book in like 24 hours. But yeah, Three Body Problem is really good. And I'm really, really excited to watch it as well. If they come out with like the second and the third. They actually have it in Chinese, by the way, Henry. They have it like a movie, I think, based on Three Body Problem.